We have a complicated relationship with our bodies. We obsess over them, punish them, worship them, resent them, push them past their limits, and then collapse into guilt when they fail us. We spend enormous amounts of money and time and mental energy on how they look, how they perform, whether they measure up. And underneath all of it, underneath the fitness routines and the mirror checking and the health anxiety, there is something that never quite gets resolved. Because no matter how much you optimize the body, it still gets sick. It still ages. It still eventually dies. And if you are the body, that is a terrifying situation to be in. A Course in Miracles has a different proposal. You are not the body. And once you actually understand what that means, not as a spiritual escape hatch, but as a practical shift in identity, the entire relationship changes. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what A Course in Miracles says about the body, why the ego made it, what it is designed to prove, and why that makes it the most ego-saturated relationship most of us have. You'll understand why the Course doesn't ask you to ignore or abuse the body, but to stop making it your identity. You'll see the specific distinction the Course draws between the body in service of the ego and the body in service of the Holy Spirit, and why that distinction is the difference between using the body to suffer and using it to connect. And you'll have a practice that begins shifting your relationship with your body from one of identification and anxiety to one of use and freedom. This is one of those teachings that initially sounds abstract and then quietly dismantles something that has been running your life for decades. Picture someone on the worst day of their illness. Fever, pain, exhaustion, the body completely breaking down. In that state, there is almost no mental space for anything else. Every thought contracts around the physical experience. How bad is it? Is it getting worse? What if it doesn't stop? The body fills the entire frame. Nothing else is real. Now contrast that with a moment you've probably had, maybe brief. Maybe years ago, when you were so absorbed in something meaningful. So genuinely present with another person or a piece of work or a moment of beauty, that you forgot your body entirely. An hour passed and you didn't notice. You weren't hungry, you weren't tired, you weren't checking in on how you looked or felt. You were just there. Present. Alive in a way that had nothing to do with physical sensation. The Course would say that in the first scenario, the ego is using the body as it was designed to be used, as proof that you are limited, vulnerable, and mortal. In the second scenario, the body became what the Holy Spirit can make it, a transparent vehicle for something larger than itself. A Course in Miracles teaches that the body was made by the ego. Not discovered, not given, made. It was constructed as the ultimate proof of separation. Because if you are a body, if your identity is housed in this particular envelope of flesh with its specific location in space and its limited lifespan, then you are, by definition, separate from every other body. Separate from other people, separate from God, separate from love. The body in the ego's logic is the evidence that the separation is real. Every wall it has, every border where it ends and someone else begins, is the ego saying, you see, we really are alone. This is why the Course says the ego uses the body as an end in itself. When the body becomes the point, when its pleasure, appearance, comfort, and survival are what your life is organized around, the ego is winning. Not because pleasure or health are wrong, but because when the body is the goal, fear is inevitable. Because the body is fragile. And a fragile goal is a terrifying one to stake your peace on. The Course draws an important distinction here. It says the body in itself is completely neutral. It has no agenda. It no more belongs to the ego than a hammer belongs to malice. The question is who is wielding it and toward what end. The ego uses the body to demonstrate separation, to attack, to defend, to suffer, to demand. The Holy Spirit uses the same body as a communication device, a means of extending love, making contact, offering presence. Same instrument. Entirely different purpose. But here's where most people hit a wall with this teaching. Because saying you are not your body can land as dismissive. What about chronic pain? What about illness? What about the very real experience of a body that is suffering? Is the Course saying that's an illusion you should think your way past? Because if so, that feels not just impractical but cruel. So what is the Course actually saying, and how does it apply when the body's suffering is undeniable? The Course's answer here is careful and important. It is not saying physical pain is imaginary. It is not asking you to white-knuckle your way past a real experience by telling yourself it isn't there. What it is saying is something more precise. Sickness, in ACIM's framework, is what happens when the mind uses the body to express its belief in guilt, fear, and separation. It is the body being given a message to broadcast. The Course says healing is not primarily a physical event, it is a correction that happens in the mind, which then has effects in the body. That doesn't mean medicine is wrong or that you should refuse care. It means that tending only to the physical symptoms while leaving the mind's fear-based programming untouched is incomplete. The body will keep receiving the same broadcast. Chapter 8 of the text draws the line clearly. You can use the body to demonstrate the ego's story of limitation. Or you can use it to extend the Holy Spirit's message of connection. Every time you use your body to genuinely reach another person, to listen, to comfort, to be fully present, you are using it the way the Holy Spirit intends. Every time you use your body as a weapon or a fortress or a scoreboard, the ego is running it. Here is the practice for today. At some point today, place your hand on your chest and say quietly to yourself, "This body is not who I am. It is something I am using." You don't have to feel profound about it. You don't have to believe it completely. Just try it as a hypothesis. Then ask, what would I do differently today if I knew my worth had nothing to do with how this body looks or performs or feels? Let one answer surface. You don't have to act on it immediately. Just let the question open a small gap between you and the assumption that you are what your body does. That gap is where something new can begin. We started with the complicated relationship. The obsessing, the punishing, the worshipping, the resenting. And underneath it all, the fear, because if you are the body, then everything the body is subject to, you are subject to. Decline, failure, disease, death. That fear is not irrational given the premise. The Course just says the premise is wrong. You are not the body. You are the awareness that is using it right now to have this experience. And the body, this neutral tool, can be given to fear or given to love. When it is given to love, the Course says something remarkable. It stops being a prison and becomes a gift. Not something you are trapped in. Something you move through the world with in service of connection until the need for it is done. Subscribe so you don't miss video 9, because in the next video we get into guilt. What the Course says about it. Why the ego needs it more than anything else. And why the guilt you carry is never actually about what you think it's about. Leave a comment below. In what area of your life do you feel most identified with your body, most at the mercy of what it does or doesn't do? See you in video 9.